Hello everyone. Have you ever tried to learn English, but felt confused or stuck? Maybe you know some words and grammar, but speaking is still hard. I've been there too, and I'm here to help. In today's video, I'll share simple tips that help me go from being nervous to speaking confidently. Whether you're just starting or want to improve, this channel is all about easy English you can use every day. Stay with me, and by the end of this video, you'll see how learning English can be simple and fun. Today I want to share my story about learning English. I wasn't always good at it. In fact, I struggled a lot in the beginning. But over time, I found some useful tips and methods that really helped me, and I believe they can help you too, no matter what level you're at. So, let's start from the very beginning of my journey. When I first decided to learn English, I didn't know where to start. There were so many things to learn: words, grammar rules, pronunciation. It all felt like too much at once. I remember feeling overwhelmed, wondering how I could possibly remember all of it. But one day, I realized something important: I didn't need to learn everything at once. You see, learning English or any language is like building a house. You need to start with the foundation. So, I began by focusing on the basics, the things I would use in my daily life. For me, that was simple words and phrases, greetings, introductions, and common questions. Words like hello, thank you, how are you, and goodbye. I even kept a small notebook with me to write down new words and review them when I had free time. At first, speaking English in front of others made me nervous. I was so afraid of making mistakes. But here's the thing: making mistakes is part of the learning process. I made a lot of them, but instead of getting upset, I learned from each one. Every time I said something wrong, I just tried again until I got it right. And that's another important tip: don't be afraid to make mistakes. The more you practice, the better you'll get. One thing that helped me a lot was listening to English as much as I could. I used to think I needed to understand every single word, but that's not true. Just listening regularly to English, whether it's music, TV shows, or podcasts, helps your brain get used to the language. For example, I used to listen to a radio show from London while commuting to work here in Edinburgh. At first, I didn't understand everything, but over time, my listening skills improved without me even realizing it. Here's a tip that made learning more enjoyable: find something you love in English. For me, it was TV shows. I started watching a series I liked with subtitles in my own language. After a while, I switched to English subtitles. Finally, I tried watching it without any subtitles at all. It was hard, but it helped a lot, and because I was watching something I enjoyed, it didn't feel like studying, it felt like fun. Another thing I struggled with was pronunciation. Sometimes I knew the words, but people still couldn't understand me because I didn't pronounce them correctly. It was frustrating, but I found a solution. I started practicing out loud, even if I was just talking to myself. I would say new words over and over again until they sounded right. I also used online dictionaries with audio, so I could hear how the words were supposed to sound. This was especially useful when I learned words that sounded very different from how they were spelled. And now, let's talk about grammar. Oh, grammar was tough for me at first. It felt like a huge mountain to climb. I couldn't remember all the rules, and I kept mixing them up. But then I realized something important: you don't need perfect grammar to communicate. Grammar is important, yes, but don't let it stop you from speaking. It's okay to make small mistakes, as long as people understand you. So I focused on getting my point across, and as I got more comfortable, I slowly improved my grammar. I also started reading in English. At first, I read children's books because they were simple and had pictures to help me understand. Then I moved on to short stories, and eventually I started reading online articles. I didn't always understand every word, but I got the main idea, and that's what mattered. Reading helped me learn new words and context, which made it easier to remember them later. One of the most important things I learned was consistency. If you want to improve your English, you need to practice regularly. I set a goal to practice at least 15 minutes every day. Some days I did more, and some days I did less, but I always did something. Whether it was speaking, listening, reading, or writing. It wasn't always easy, but over time I saw real progress. Speaking of writing, here's another tip: practice writing in English. I started by writing short messages to friends, and later I tried journaling. Writing helped me organize my thoughts and think about the language in a different way. It also gave me a chance to practice grammar and vocabulary without the pressure of speaking in front of others. One day, I found a language exchange partner online. This was a game changer for me. We would chat in English for a while, and then we would switch to my native language so we could help each other. Finding someone to practice with is one of the best things you can do. It's not just about learning the language, it's about building confidence too. The more you practice with someone else, the easier it becomes to speak in real-life situations. Another tip that worked for me was labeling things around my house with sticky notes. I wrote the English words for everyday objects like table, door, and fridge. And every time I saw them, I would say the words out loud. It may seem like a small thing, but these little reminders help me learn vocabulary without even realizing it. And here's something else that really helped: thinking in English. At first, I always thought in my own language and then translated it in my head. But this took too long, and I often got stuck trying to find the right words. So I started trying to think directly in English, even if it was just simple thoughts like I'm hungry or I need to go to the store. The more I did it, the easier it became, and soon I didn't have to translate everything in my head anymore. One important thing I learned along the way was to ask questions. Whenever I didn't understand something, in the beginning, I was shy and didn't want to seem dumb. But I realized that asking questions is the best way to learn. Whether it was about a word, a phrase, or a grammar rule, I asked my teacher, friends, or even people online. The more questions I asked, the more confident I became in using the language. Let me share a funny moment from my early days of learning English. I was practicing with a friend, and after we ate a big meal, I wanted to say I'm full, but instead I said I'm full. My friend burst out laughing, and I had no idea why, until they explained the difference between full and fool. At first, I was embarrassed, but then I laughed too. And that's another tip: laugh at your mistakes. If you take everything too seriously, it's easy to get discouraged. But if you can laugh and learn from it, you'll feel more relaxed and confident. Finally, remember to be patient. Learning a language takes time. And there will be moments when you feel frustrated or stuck. I remember feeling like I wasn't improving fast enough, and there were days when I wanted to give up. But I reminded myself that learning English isn't a race. Everyone learns at their own pace, and it's okay if it takes time. So, to sum up, learning English has been a challenging but rewarding journey for me. I used a combination of listening, speaking, reading, writing, and consistent practice to improve. I made mistakes, asked questions, and found ways to make learning fun.